All right, everybody. I've just been informed that we're ready to go with the next run. So whenever we're ready to go, we've got IllegallySa is going to be doing Spongebob Squarepants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated 77 spatulas. So before I hand things over, I just have one question for everybody in the chat. Are you ready, kids? Take it away.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm IllegallySa, and I am joined here by Rexy, if you want to introduce yourself as well.
No, this is Patrick!
Fair enough. Can't argue with that. But yeah, here, as you can see, we're going to be doing some Spongebob. You know, I'm sure nobody really knows too much about this. It's a pretty small franchise. You know, not too many people know about it these days. But no, this is SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. It is the remake of the game that came out back in the PS2, Xbox, GameCube era. So I'm sure a lot of people my age and their 20s probably grew up with this game, because that's how I know about it. But we're going to be doing 77 Spatula, which I'm not going to say it's the no major glitches category, because that would just mean there's one major glitch in this game, and that's not accurate. But this is the not warp to the final boss category. So we need to collect 75 spatulas to get to the final boss, and that's what we're going to be seeing here today. So I think with that, we can go ahead and get started. So time will start once I start a new save file here. So let's go ahead and I'll count down. 3, 2, 1. Let's get started. All right.
And good luck!
Thank you. So yeah, as we start the run here, we will be skipping all of the cutscenes, unfortunately. Which is unfortunate, because this game, in true SpongeBob fashion, has a lot of great dialogue.
Go away,
There may or may not even be like a few lines in here that are memes that people know that might not even realize are from this game. But immediately we're going to warp out of SpongeBob's Pineapple, which is supposed to be the starting area, and just go straight to Jellyfish Fields, which is the first area of the game here. So this game has 9 main areas, plus Bikini Bottom, plus 3 extra areas for boss fights. And, you know, all of those areas are based off of various things from the show. You know, we got Jellyfish Fields. You'll be seeing a few other familiar locales and a few other less familiar locales. But as you can see... dang it. Yeah, that little... We're going out of bounds right away here, so needless to say, those ledges aren't necessarily a fan of that sometimes. Okay. So yeah, this platform is a little finicky sometimes. It doesn't like you landing on it all the time. So we're gonna try a few times. And yes, we do have Hans picking us up every time we go out of bounds. If you didn't know, that hand is named Hans. There we go. Okay, that was what I was trying to do the first time. But yeah, we're just going straight out of bounds. There's an invisible platform there we can just go on, and we can just go up here and talk to Gary.
Hey Gary, what's that?
Talking to Gary is necessary to make this bungee here spawn, and by using this bungee, we can collect our first golden spatula. And immediately, you'll be seeing the first of many, attempted at the very least, spatula skips. So the game, like in any collectathon, are, you know, the main thing you collect to progress through the game. A bunch of different worlds require them to unlock them. There's, like I said, you need 75 in order to get to the final boss. But every time you collect one, there's about a 4-second animation that plays. So whenever possible, the goal of the run is to skip those animations. So what I did there was, because the bungee doesn't play the animation until you land back on the ground, you can just warp to the spatula that you just collected, and it doesn't play the animation. And this right there is another bad animation skip where I progressed to the next area in midair and then fell onto the spatula and collected it before warping to the next section. So there's going to be some stuff like that. There's a few other kinds of animation skips that I'll mention when I get to them.
Boys, Patrick will be glad to have
But
this
here, moving up to the next part of the this area, this is Patrick's Dilemma. You know, Patrick's over there. We've got all these robots running around. We're supposed to go around, destroy all the robo factories, stuff like that. But instead, we can kind of just dang it. I pressed B a little too early. But we can just kind of jump up to Patrick using a little bit of a less than intended jump strat here. This jump is like kind of the first trick you might want to learn in this run, because it's not free, but it's a lot. I keep pressing B a little too early, but it's a lot easier than a lot of other tricks. I was practicing yesterday. I got this first try every time I tried it. Naturally, that means I don't get it first try during the run. Unfortunate.
So for those that have never seen this kind of jump before, what kind of difference does the jellyfish net make for SpongeBob's jump height here?
Yeah, so what I'm doing is called spin stalling, and it's not a very big difference, but when you're in midair, if you press the attack button before you reach the apex of your jump, it'll stall you in the air a little bit, so you don't fall as quickly. Keep pressing B early. I need to stop pressing... I need to press B a tiny bit later, because I need to, like, basically be up against the wall. But yes, spin stalling is, like, the basics of movement in this game. So it's going to be used all throughout the run. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. So yeah, what the slam does, which is when, you know, Spongebob gets those bubble feet, that like pops you up a little bit before slamming you back down to the ground, and as a result, you can kind of clip through things that are ledges that are slightly above you. And that is very useful to get up to places that you are not supposed to. All right. But yeah, the reason we just leave the pineapple at the beginning of the run and come back to it now is because you need 50 shiny objects in order to unlock the spatula. And so we just come back after getting a few shiny objects.
I didn't know Squidward had a lamp.
Also, in true SpongeBob fashion, this spatula we're getting here is called Annoy Squidward, and we get it for annoying Squidward. But we also get another spat animation skip there by destroying the last object in this house that causes a sock to spawn. And since that causes a cutscene, if we cause the sock to spawn and grab the spatula at the same time, the cutscene or the animation for collecting the spatula does not play.
Now I can wear 4 pairs of underwear. This is
Also, I haven't mentioned socks yet, but that is another one of the collectibles in this game, because, you know, like I said, it's an early 2000s collectathon. You gotta have multiple collectibles in this kind of game. So yeah, this game has 80 socks. They're Patrick socks, and every time you collect 10 of them, you can turn them in for a spatula. Because there's a lot of socks in this game that are not exactly out of the way,
up for a game of
it is
Spongebob.
worthwhile getting a bunch of them and turning them in
Fresh like a
near the end of the run.
spring breeze.
And so in the route that I do, I am going to be collecting 40 socks. There we go.
So getting the first sock from Squidward sounds means he really shouldn't have gone out of bed
The
today.
button is the most satisfying. Push, 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 push.
Yeah, you're gonna be... if you can believe it, there's a lot of SpongeBob references that you can make during this run. It's almost like it's a SpongeBob game or something. Yeah, this is downtown Bikini Bottom. It's nothing too crazy of an area, but you'll be seeing like a few buildings from a few random episodes here and there. Like to my left right there, that's the fancy restaurant from the end of the chocolate episode, for example. But yeah, we're not going through this area.
Glad to have this back.
But in this area, there is also there's these little steering wheels that we got to collect from Mrs. Puff. Most of the areas in this game have an additional collectible that when you collect all of them, you can turn them in for an extra spatula.
Gary?
In this area, it's steering wheels. The reason why we're collecting them is twofold, because we also get the spatula from Mrs. Puff, but there's another reason that I'll go into more detail later about. But now we get to play as Sandy. Sandy can just kind of fly. Not in an intended way. But yeah, this is a trick called the Infinite Lasso Hover, or ILH. So yeah, basically if you just grab a ledge and activate Sandy's hover where she pulls out her lasso at about the same time. Basically, during the get-up animation of grabbing a ledge, if you activate the lasso, it just kind of bugs out, never goes away, and now you can fly.
See, this is a unique trick I hadn't even seen in the OG. She's definitely hotter than a hickory smoked sausage.
So yeah, it's good that you mentioned the OG though, because you know, like I said, this is a remake of the original game, but as a result, there's a lot of things that are either intentionally or unintentionally different from the original game and its speedrun. Also, there's just, you don't have to pay the clam here. You can just kind of hit the visible switch. Dang it, okay. I tried to give myself a little extra downwards momentum, but I accidentally landed back on the switch, so I'm just gonna take it slow. So yeah, the ILH is a very finicky state, because basically you... Okay, I definitely didn't want to fly off into the stratosphere. That's fine though, not a big deal. Just warp back here. But yeah, the way the trick works is if you jump, you'll just keep going up infinitely, and so you have to press the hover button again to start going back down at a, you know, pretty slow descent. And if you just walk off a platform, then you'd move horizontally. But if you activate the trick and don't walk off a platform and then walk back onto the platform, you won't get your hover back. And so if you try to jump while you're in that state, you'll just fly off into the stratosphere and you have no way to get back down. So that's why a lot of the time you'll see me like activate it and then like do a little dance. Okay, I think I went back down a little too early there. Okay. It's all good, though. Yeah, so also after switching at a bus stop like that, there is a short period of time where you can just collect a spatula and it doesn't play the animation. Yeah, ILH, you're going to see me doing a little jig basically every time I activate it, because I got to walk off of the platform I'm on and then back on in order to get my hover back. Otherwise, I basically won't be able to use the trick. So that's going to be useful in any level where the game lets us get sandy, because the way worlds in this game are split up, every level lets you play as Spongebob, but the secondary character in every stage is either Patrick or Sandy. So some stages you'll be seeing some Patrick action, and some stages you'll be seeing Sandy fly off into the air. Here in the lighthouse, just gotta kill all the robots here down at the bottom, and then we can collect the wheel. Be on our way. Collect another spatula while exiting the area. Say hi to Bubble Buddy, and move on. Alright, so...
You! Patrick needs to do laundry.
Bubble Buddy can be excused for the rest of his life.
Yeah, Bubble Buddy shows up in a lot of weird places in this game, and he's just like, oh yeah, you need help, SpongeBob? I got you. And that's his whole role in the game. Yeah, here we can move on to the Sea Needle, where we'll be seeing some more Sandy shenanigans. No ILH shenanigans, but still Sandy shenanigans. Because Sandy can hover, and there's some geometry that you can walk on that you shouldn't be able to. And therefore, you can just kind of cheese this entire area. So there's a spatula in this area called Come Back with the Cruise Bubble. The Cruise Bubble is an ability you get later in the game. It is the last ability you get in the game as Spongebob, and you're supposed to use it to hit a switch. So over here, there's a switch up in this area that you're supposed to use, and it'll make some platforms appear. Yeah, like I said, we can just use some weird geometry and Sandy and just jump on that geometry and go over here instead, not even use the platforms. The switch does make a spatula spawn. Ah, shoot. Okay, I whiffed. Dang it. That's fine. Now you get to see some jank geometry a second time. But yeah, that switch, you do have to hit the switch to make the spatula spawn, so I do have to, like, jump up with Sandy to, hit it. Oh, how did I make that jump? Okay, whatever. Not a big deal. Something to note about this game is the load times. Something that this game was kind of infamous for back when it came out a few years ago, like on the Xbox One, PS4, and Switch. How did I... Okay. Is the load time. So This game is kind of infamous for having pretty bad load times on older consoles. Oops. I say that because you might remember the intro to the game took about like 6 to 10 seconds to like load me into the first area when I was skipping the cutscenes. On Xbox One, that is like over 20 seconds. On Switch, it's like close to 30 seconds. So needless to say, on weaker consoles, the load times in this game are pretty egregious. So I'm playing on an Xbox Series X, and because of the Xbox Series X having solid-state drive, load times are significantly better. So therefore, there's a lot of strats that would otherwise be PC only because of the fact that respawning takes so long. Like if I were playing on like the Switch, for example, I would be doing a completely different route because of having to account for load times. But I could kind of use a modified PC route as a result because PC removes load times.
This is where the real action is.
That makes a lot of sense because BFBB Rehydrated isn't the first instance I've heard of modern console equivalents cutting down loads like this, so that makes it way more efficient to end up playing through now.
Yep. And also, you might have been wondering why I was just jumping off the edge of the map a few times.
Good work.
There's a spatula that requires you to destroy 3 groups of tikis, but it doesn't actually care if you destroy all 3 separate groups of tikis. It just cares if you destroy 3 of them total. So you can just destroy the same one 3 times, and then Mr. Krabs will give you a spatula. Alright. And now I can go and grab the last 2 wheels. Sandy here. That jump's a little sketchy, so I'm glad I got it. And now that we have all the wheels, we can go back to Jellyfish Fields real quick. Jellyfish Fields is, as an area, supposed to be a Patrick area, but for some reason they just don't take you away Sandy if you warp here with Sandy. And as a result, it's time to do some ILH to skip the entirety of Jellyfish Caves. Because when you combine ILH with the speed you get from a slide, you just fly through the air super fast. Alright. And by using this geometry to slow myself down, you can just fly around the outside of the map here. Okay, I don't think I went a little too high, so I'm gonna have to hover to go back down. There's an invisible wall here that you have to go around, as you can see from that white wall. And yeah, this is the last area of the Jellyfish Caves, so we just skipped the entire area, because this is like a whole section where you're supposed to use Patrick to like throw a bunch of watermelons at switches and stuff. It's pretty slow. So yeah, we just skipped the whole thing using Sandy, because like I said, the game doesn't take her away from us, so why not use her?
Heck yeah, you don't need Patrick. Not as long as you have your imagination, Rainbow Hands.
There, SpongeBob.
I mean, what are glitches but just your imagination? But yeah, now that last spat in Jellyfish Fields for now, we'll be coming back a 3rd time, don't worry, we're not done with it.
Hey, SpongeBob.
But now that we have 14 spatulas, we can go up to Patrick here. He gives you a free sock for talking to him, but grab this spat.
Did you find my lost?
Talk to Patrick while grabbing the spatula, and you can just kind of do that. And we're gonna fight the first boss of the run. This is Robo Sandy. So basically what the deal with Robo Sandy is, there's 3 phases. First phase, you're SpongeBob. Phase 2, you're Patrick. Phase 3, you're SpongeBob again. And the goal is to bait out Robo Sandy's attacks to be that little karate chop, because that is her fastest attack. Any of the other attacks are slower and will waste more time. And so by doing that, you can just get her to do the attack where she slams on the ground. You can damage her faster. And yeah, so let's see if I can get this.
What a shocking takedown by Patrick.
So yeah, if you just move in a very specific way with Patrick, you can just get extra hits on Robo Sandy's phase 2 here. Fun fact, it's possible to chain those together and do the remaining 6 damage to Robo Sandy all in one go.
Wow, I've never seen such
However,
an electrifying match.
doing that is a little iffy, because as a result of beating this fight, you get the Bubble Bowl ability. And the way the game does that is it doesn't give it to Spongebob, it gives it to the player, the character you're playing as. And so as a result, it tries to give Patrick the Bubble Bowl. And not only does that not work and permanently breaks Patrick on your save file, Spongebob also does not get given the Bubble Bowl if you do that. So needless to say, finishing the fight normally is a bit more useful than trying to give Patrick the Bubble Bowl and having it break the entire game. But yeah, that was actually a pretty clean Robo Sandy fight.
I cannot imagine Patrick having the bubble ball. It'd be the type of thing mayonnaise is an instrument, so goodness knows how we deal with that.
So now we are in Sandy's tree dome. Oops. These robots are not cooperating. That's fine, not a big deal.
Just met the Sponginator.
Oh. That was definitely an intended death to get all my health back. That was definitely what I meant to do. But yeah, now that we have the Bubble Bowl, the way the Bubble Bowl works is, you know, you go forward, it activates, and, you know, whatever it hits in its path, it damages. But what's really useful about it is any enemy that takes more than one hit to kill with your Bubble Wand, with the little spin that it does, it instead kills them in one hit. So it is very useful because of that. Also, it is very broken, because if you use the Bubble Bowl and walk into a loading zone and activate it while you're still charging up your bubble, you can just let go of it during the animation of going to the next area, and you just regain movement. And that is the next form of spat animation skip. Because if you grab a spatula during that transition, just like before when, you know, we would fall into the spatula, it just lets us get the spatula, you know, it saves it, and then it warps us to the next area immediately after.
Just my size.
Now we are in the Mermaid. We get Mermaid Man saying evil.
It's not just any
Evil!
Yeah. Thankfully, I cannot skip that dialogue fast enough to actually skip that text. But, like, you get to hear definitely the original voice actor for Mermaid Man saying it. Also, we can just skip this entire area by doing that jump. Yeah, the Mermalair is, in my opinion, the hardest area in the entire game. Not because it's like it has anything crazy and as far as intentional level design, but because the tricks in this area go kind of crazy. You'll be seeing that very shortly. So yeah, this is also one of the only areas that we are actually using Patrick. Patrick is unfortunately not that useful, because he is less broken than the other characters. He still has some things that are broken, but he is less broken. And in a run like this, less broken means less useful. So yeah, for Mermaid Man here, we have to go down these 3 paths and hit all 3 switches. So we just gotta take the watermelon, and because we have good load times, we can just respawn after each one, instead of actually walking back manually. And after the 3rd one, go back to Mermaid Man for our prize. Alright. Let's see if I can... There we go. Okay. Yeah, basically, anytime there's a spatula next to an NPC, you can just kind of grab it while talking to them. Alright, and then this here is called Bath Salt Skip.
A bath salt? I thought there was an ugly barnacle that was so ugly that everybody died.
I mean, the reason it's called Bath Salt Skip is because of Barnacle Boy up here, because we have to go activate the Towers of Power, and after you finish this spatula, he talks about bath salts, because this is all just to power his bath. So it's not just like a random trick that it's a crazy skip, so it's called Bath Salt Skip. No, it's like, it's literally just because Barnacle Boy mentions bath salts. But yet here we have to just hit these towers, make them all face towards the center, and by just hitting every button once, you could just very easily finish this with 2 watermelons. Okay.
Well done.
All right. We are skipping the bath salts line, unfortunately.
Now, how to get...
All right. Yeah, the camera during the when you skip the spat animations like that, the camera gets very jank. So if I don't know exactly what angle to hold on my controller, it gets a little weird, and that's why sometimes it just stop moving.
Gary, I see.
But yeah, the main reason, in addition to just like getting up to that area faster, the main reason for bath salt skip is because it is one of the ways of doing what is called clam skip. So in that area, the way you're supposed to get up to the Tower of Power is you're supposed to pay a bunch of shiny objects to a clam, and it lets you actually get up there. But instead, we can just go up there and not have to pay anything. Also, what you might have seen me just do, where I just sent a bubble bowl into a wall and then jumped on it, that is called a VBB, or a vertical bowl bounce. So basically, there's two variants of it, a stuck VBB and a unstuck VBB. That was a stuck VBB, where what I did was I bowled into a wall, the bowl got stuck, and then as a result I can jump on it and just gain a crazy amount of height. And that is going to be useful a couple times. An unstuck variation is one where it doesn't get stuck against a wall and is a little bit harder to use as a result. Dang it, I was a little off with my positioning. So yeah, this is the infamous ballroom. Anybody who's played the original game is very, very aware of this room, because it's basically a Rube Goldberg machine. You basically have to activate that ball, make it travel through the entire room in Rube Goldberg fashion, and it takes a long time. It's like over a minute long. Instead, we can just launch the ball and try and get it to land in the spot that we're trying to get it in. It's not easy. That was way too early. So yeah, you'll see like people pause buffer this. I'm very bad at pause buffering in this game, so I don't pause buffer. I just kind of YOLO it and just hope I get the right timing. And I can get it most of the time. It sometimes takes me a few tries, but more often than not, I can get this with enough consistency that I do it in runs. But yeah, like I said, this is a very difficult trick, so there's a lot of people that just don't do this trick at all. I think I was a little off. Oh, no, that one went in. Cool. So yeah, this trick is also called Kobe skip, because if you can believe it, launching the ball across the entire map like that while shouting Kobe is probably the correct way to do this trick.
Well done, Sponge.
Well, it could be beef. You think it could be in the formioli of whatever ravioli he wants?
Nah,
I don't know.
Nah, it's more of a Kobe Bryant type thing, as opposed to Kobe beef. But yeah, now that we're able to get the ballroom done, we can come back here, activate the last of these 4 switches, and the Murmulaire computer will let us access the boss fight of this area. So everybody knows the most... Ah, shoot. I was trying to get that spatula, but my angles were off. So yeah, if I'd gotten that second spatula while the first animation was going off, the second animation would have been skipped. Unfortunately, I messed it up. But yeah, everybody knows the most famous Broadway Man and Barnacle Boy villain, right? You know, I'm sure everybody knows exactly who I'm about to fight. Prawn. But before I do the fight, I do a little trick called load error glitch, or leg. Thank you. I was hoping you'd do that exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So the fact that there is a trick in a SpongeBob game called leg, that irony is not lost on me. But what load error glitch is, by trying to load a save file and disconnecting your controller during that load, the game will actually not load that save file, and because it'll give you like the little disconnect pop-up box, and as a result, it puts you back in the world in a very glitchy state. That glitchy state is useful for the prawn fight because, among other things, what that state is, it makes it so you can't get damaged by enemies or most hazards, and it also skips any spat animations from spatulas you collect while you're in the state. It's very easy to have the state deactivated. That's why I don't use it more often, because if I get like a dialogue cutscene or like transition between areas or something, it'll deactivate. But basically, anytime I collect multiple spatulas in a row with nothing interrupting them, or during a fight where like it's beneficial to make myself immune to damage, I will be using leg. So, like I said, prawn there, you know, it's got those tiles on the ground that are hazards, and as a result, we can just do the fight a lot easier and safer. And depending on how good you are at the fight, it's also faster to do it that way, so makes that fight significantly more consistent, if nothing else. But now, we are in Goo Lagoon.
So based on your reading back at Murmula, which was the funnier spatula that you picked up, 24 or 25?
I would say 25, because that was prawn. 24 was the one where I messed up the animation skip. So unless you find me messing up tricks funny, I would say 25 is definitely funnier.
Good choice.
All right.
Spongebob.
But as I go through Goo Lagoon here, there's going to be a lot of
Opening presents.
kind of janky jumps that hopefully I get first try, because you're supposed to climb up this sandcastle in a normal way, but oops. But using spin stalling, there's a lot of jumps that you can just make that you aren't supposed to. Unfortunately, I did mess that one up. It's like, that's the easy jump. That doesn't bode well. The other jumps in this area are a lot harder, but that's fine. Okay. So you're supposed to, once you're up here, you're supposed to go all the way around to the other side to like kind of make it up, but by jumping on this factory here, whoops, that definitely wasn't going to hit it. Let's try this again. Dang it, okay. Thankfully there's a backup if you don't make it up, where this just kind of isn't tangible right away, so you can just kind of jump up through it and then land on it.
Another fine quadruped.
Dang it. Okay, I missed that one as well. Unfortunate. That means I have to do this jump in extra time, but that's fine. Not a big deal.
Just run like you're not in a coma. Or rather, jump like you're not in a coma. Your call.
Okay, there we go. Messed up the first time. So yeah, I was basically trying to get back up so I could go up top here. And the reason we didn't do Goo Lagoon earlier is because of this right here. Try and line it up. That was
There's
probably
nothing
too
like
far
the
right.
smell of bubbles in the morning. Smells like
Yeah, okay. So yeah, there's a switch all the way over there that you're supposed to hit after paying a clam. But because the switch is just always there, by doing this and firing off a bubble bowl at a very specific angle up here that I kind of am not great at hitting all the time, we could just hit it and activate the platforms. There we go. So yeah, you'll see those platforms down there. That's what I was trying to activate, because there is a spatula down there. And you're going to be seeing another kind of spat animation skip. So come down here. Loading the game and then exiting the pause menu before the load goes through. You can get movement back while the game is still loading. And similar to when you're going into another area, you can just kind of get a spatula during that transition. You have to be careful though, because if you get it at the wrong time, you'll collect the spatula and it won't count. And that is really bad, because that means that spatula is actually broken on your save file, and you can't ever get it.
hello, Gary.
So doing that trick is a little risky at times, but if you have the right timing, there's no risk.
Shade on a hot day.
So is there a backup in case you end up with that glitched spatula during a marathon run like this one?
Yes, I do have a couple backup spats in mind, essentially.
You. Patrick needs to do laundry.
There we go.
Fine quadruped.
So yeah, that was a sponge warp. So what happens is, when you like jump into goo, the game doesn't like killing you right away, and it'll like kind of launch you back to where you were. And since it gives you so much speed when that happens, we can kind of abuse that to do things that you're not exactly supposed to. Dang it. I jumped a little bad timing. Now I gotta redo this jump. This jump sucks. This jump, it does not require a sponge warp, but the sponge warp is kind of like a backup in case I miss up that jump. But yeah, basically a sponge warp, you know, you get that little knockback from the goo, and by activating a slam at about the same time... Oh, come on, I keep messing that up. This is not a hard jump, I keep messing it up though. But yeah, by activating the slam immediately after, it'll like pause Spongebob in midair, but it won't cancel the extra momentum you get, and as a result, it kind of like keeps giving you that momentum until the animation ends. And then once the animation ends, it gives you all of that movement all at once, and just kind of launches you in the opposite direction from where you were. And that is not the last time you'll be seeing a sponge warp. It will be useful again later.
I'm more than surprised it's not really called a sponge wombo, because he wombo, everyone wombo, I wombo, you me wombo, they wombo.
Yeah. Funnily enough, there is not a trick in this game called a wombo combo, which is a little disappointing. Okay.
I love opening presents.
So yeah, by just like doing a jump off that one tiki all the way to the end, we can activate the box at the end of this stage.
I'm ready.
And these boxes are supposed to be used, like, once you make it through an area, you can fast travel back to the end after making it through once. But yeah, by doing that, you can just kind of get to the end of the stage early. So yeah, now we're going to be going back through this this pier here, but doing it backwards because it's slightly faster that way. Get up on top of these tents, do some stuff that's not quite intended. Because there's a spatula here where you're supposed to freeze the goo at the bottom of the stage with Patrick, and then like go over to this platform here. But you can just go off the slide and land here instead.
Great tongue skills right there, but do remember that licking doorknobs is illegal on other planets.
Yeah, thankfully there are no doorknobs in this run, so I don't have to worry about that. It'd be a little problematic maybe if there were, but thankfully there's not. Alright, so this is another clam skip. Funny enough, only like the one skip is actually called clam skip, but we skip a lot of clams in this run. But you could just kind of jump up the side of the geometry there, get to this bungee, and warp away. Oh, wrong spat. There we go. So I want to warp to this spat that I got here at the end because this will make me Patrick. And by doing that, you have to be Patrick here to get the spat from Mr. Krabs for clearing out the bumper boats at the end. So I can switch to Patrick and go grab it. And if you remember earlier, I mentioned how there was two reasons why I was collecting the wheels in downtown Bikini Bottom. One of them was to get the spatula from Mrs. Puff, which I'm going to be doing right now. And the other reason is something called Collectible Counter Abuse, or CCA. What that does is, if you go to an area where you have a certain amount of collectibles and warp somewhere else where you have less collectibles, the game will just think you have as many collectibles as the area you were just in. So right here it thinks I saved all 11 of the kids, even though, you know, I obviously haven't saved any of the kids. And as a result, Mrs. Puff will be, thank you for saving all the kids that are still flying around. And it'll just give me the spat. And so,
Okay, that's a good call, because even when playing the original GameCube version, the children tend to wander up in such difficult positions to jump to, so... Oh, that's definitely a good time save.
Oh yeah, it's very nice. Oh, okay, apparently I just missed the platform. That's fine, not a big deal. But yeah, that's gonna be useful in basically any area where the collectible spat is in a convenient location. So it's gonna be very useful. Oops. Also, this area you're supposed to use Patrick, because you're supposed to, like, stun the robots, pick them up, and throw them at these things, but the Bubble Bowl also works. So that's why we save the last part of Jellyfish Fields here until after we get the Bubble Bowl, so that we can do that spat specifically a lot faster. And then we can warp to it and go up here, and now we're going to do a little bit of grinding. Because if anybody's played the original, you know that you need a lot of shiny objects in order to get through this game.
Absolutely agreed. I believe you need like 40,000 to end up getting 100% just casually.
Yes. And so if I were doing 100 spat, I would be here for like 15 minutes. Also, I don't think I needed to... I think I got enough shiny objects that I didn't need to do an extra one, but I did an extra one anyway. So thankfully, since this is 77 spat, and with the strats I'm going for, I don't actually need to grind that much, because that is the fastest place to grind in the game. Because I am not getting any spats from Mr. Krabs, which... you mentioned backup spats earlier. If I needed a backup spat, I would have just spent an extra minute or so grinding here to get a crab spat, because it doesn't take too long.
At least his first two spats are pretty cheap, but do remember that Mr. Krabs does indeed speak one language, and that is money.
Yes. So yeah, the first one is 3,000 shiny objects, and they only go up from there. So that's why, if as a backup, I would only ever do one, because they just increase in price. Alright, and here is King Jellyfish. However, the reason we need to beat King Jellyfish is to collect his jelly to help out Squidward. That jelly is a collectible. And you know what that means. It's time to CCA. Oops. Trying to land on the sign. But yeah. King Jellyfish here, he's a boss fight. It's kind of slow. Oops. So instead of fighting him, we're gonna do a little bit of a sponge warp, and just skip the fight.
I love opening presents.
So yeah, by just doing a sponge warp there in that goo, you can just skip the fight entirely, which is wild that that's a thing you can do. And because of CCAing, we don't even actually have to collect his jelly, which is why this trick is fast.
Well, listen, you're already halfway through, and Squidward is finally going to get whatever relief he needs.
Yep. The relief of rubbing steering wheels all over his body. Alright, but with that, we are done with Jellyfish Fields, and it is time to go to Sand Mountain. Thankfully, we will not be breaking our butts during this run.
I'm rollerific.
But right before going to Sand Mountain, just kind of go up to the side of Shady Shoals in a way that is definitely the way you're supposed to do it. So yeah, the sponge ball, which is that little thing I grabbed, you might have seen it in downtown Bikini Bottom. That is very useful because it is very easy to go places you aren't supposed to with it, which is how I was able to get up the side of that building so easily. Alright. And because I'm going to be collecting 2 spats right after another, it is time to leg.
My leg!
I almost negated the leg by accident, because if you don't leg there, you're supposed to warp out of that bungee like I did at the beginning. Oops. Yeah, you can just kind of go up the side of that building, because that roof is glitchy as well. And also, here's one of my favorite things in the run coming up. You're supposed to hit this snowman, this cutscene plays, and a sock comes down. If you stand there during the cutscene, you pick up the sock during the cutscene, and then when you skip it, there's another sock, and you can just duplicate the sock and get both of them. And so, like I said, that's one of my favorite weird little tricks, because it's just like, why can you duplicate a sock? I have no idea, but you can. And
Well, maybe Spongebob needs it. He's the one who stood this toe last week and only cried for 20 minutes.
That's true. Having a sock on would probably have helped a little bit. Maybe have cut it down to like 10 or 15 minutes even. But yeah, Sand Mountain, the whole gimmick of this area is there's 3 slides that you have to get into. each of the slides cost shiny objects to open up, and as a result, only going to be doing the first slide. Because extra shiny objects means extra grinding, and that is slow. But each slide has 2 spatulas to it, and so as a result, doing the first one cheap enough that it is worthwhile to spend the money and go do it. Especially since there's some skips on this slide to make it go slightly faster. Alright, but now I'm at the end here. In order to open up that gate, I have to just, quote-unquote, destroy both of these factories. In reality, I just have to hit the switches that are behind them. And once again, I'm going to be collecting 2 spatulas in a row, so it's time to leg.
My leg? Well, I'm not even too sure where my head was going with this one. You're just believing yourself, but with a tiny pinch of magic, all of those dreams will come true.
Alright, and now that I have 40 spatulas, which is why I did Sand Mountain right then, it is time for the next boss fight. This is Robo Patrick, aka the thing you would skip if I was doing the fastest version of this route. Because if I were doing the fastest possible 77 spat route, I would be doing IP skip or Industrial Park skip, which is the name of the stage. Because this fight is very slow. This is like a 3-minute long fight, even if you do it as fast as possible. However, if you do skip this fight, you don't get the cruise bubble, which is your last ability. And while it's not incredibly useful, and it's significantly less useful than it was in the original, it is still useful. And as a result, if you want to do a safer version of the route, you don't do IP skip, even though it would save time.
Well, if this is a 3-minute boss fight, then what do you think would end up taking longer? Just going through this, or unclogging Squidward's toilet with his clarinets?
I mean, I think it would probably depend on the day. But it might actually be Squidward's toilet. That thing does not like cooperating. Gets clogged up a lot. But yeah, there is a strat that it makes this phase slightly faster. It's just really finicky, and as a result, I don't do it. But it's possible where if you were to wait out one of these cycles where he spins around and then like becomes vulnerable, the hitbox for his weak spot doesn't go away. And as a result, you can hit him at the start of the next cycle. And basically you hit him, then he activates his weak point again, and you can just hit him twice in a row, and it skips an entire animation of him jumping up, grabbing the chain, and dropping down the goo, which saves a few seconds. And that also makes the third phase a little glitchy as well, where he like skips an entire attack. But like I said, it's finicky because you have to hit him while he's spinning with Sandy, and that is easier said than done. Yeah, if the host has anything to say, now is the perfect time, because there's still another, like, minute.
Sure, let me take a look. Just want to let everybody know we've got 2 more incentives open for the remainder of the marathon, if you want to check them out. We've got a incentive for Payday 3 final level upgrade to Overkill. We're currently $5 in to a $50 incentive, so we've got $45 left. That run is going to be near the tail end of today, so there's still plenty of time to, you know, tell your friends or pitch in yourself if that sounds interesting to you. We've also got a poll for straight up deciding what run is going to be coming up later on today. So there's a bid war going on between New Super Luigi U and New Super Mario Bros. 2, 2 of the many New Super Mario Bros. Entries that we've gotten over the past 10 years or so. Currently, the winner of the bid war is New Super Luigi U at $25. We don't actually have anything going towards New Super Mario Bros. 2 right now, so if you feel like that game is a little underappreciated, needs a little bit of screen time, feel free to pitch in towards that. Just a reminder that you can actually simultaneously donate towards both of these incentives right now. So any donation that goes in, you can pick both a bid war and a donation incentive. So feel free to factor that into your decision making, I guess.
Yeah, thank you very much for chiming in with that one. There definitely has to be some money going in, but I think the next donation will not be from my wallet. It'll be there somewhere.
All right. But just like everywhere else in the game, the Krusty Krab has been overrun with robots, so we gotta clear it out for Mr. Krabs real quick. But you don't get the spat until you talk to him, and as a result, we're gonna be putting that off to later. Instead, it's time to go take a nap. Because this next stage is SpongeBob's Dream.
Dream bubbles.
A few moments later.
So yeah, the whole thing here is there's like this hub world, which is SpongeBob's Dream, and inside of SpongeBob's Dream is every other main character's dream. So there's Sandy's Dream, Patrick's Dream, Squidward's Dream, and Mr. Krabs' Dream. We're not going to be going to all of them. We're only going to Sandy's Dream and Patrick's Dream. Because Mr. Krabs' Dream is incredibly slow. And Squidward's Dream is reasonable, but it's difficult, so I don't want to do it. Because it's a pretty difficult platforming area, and it's very easy to lose time. And so, as a result, Patrick's Dream is at the end. So, you know, instead of going through the area, we're going to be doing oil skip. Hopefully I can get this first try, but this trick is not easy. But yeah, by using this guy right here, let me try and get it real quick. Ah, dang it. Okay, so by using that robot there called a slick, he'll fire some oil at me, and you can land on that oil, which is why I'm doing load error glitch, so that I don't take damage from the oil, making this trick significantly more lenient. This is possible without load error glitch, it's just, like I said, it's way easier with it, so that's why I do that version. Ah, come on. Keep getting slightly too far ahead of the oil, and it's hitting me instead of landing on it. The fact that there's two spats here also makes it so load error glitch is good, because if you get this first try, you also will collect both spats, and that'll save time as well. But yeah, this trick is not easy. It is not the hardest trick in the run, I would say, but it is difficult enough that I am messing it up multiple times in a row.
I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready.
Okay. Hopefully I can get it relatively quickly. I don't want to be here all day. Ah, dang it. Yeah, it's like there's definitely ways to manipulate the shot to make this more consistent, but I am... Oops, I actually accidentally just loaded instead of closing out of the menu. Oops. So yeah, like I said, it is possible to make this quote-unquote consistent by manipulating him in a certain way, but because, like, depending on where he ends up in his movement cycle, it makes things slightly different. It is easier said than done to make this trick super consistent, especially for me. I'm just not the best at it, period, but I did get it eventually.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
So yeah, we have a new commentator, because the old one got tired of waiting. If you want to introduce yourself.
Well, that's okay. This is still Lexi just hanging.
Alright. But now after oil skip, which lets us get the spat that was at the end of SpongeBob's stream, as well as Patrick's stream, which are two very fast spats, now it's time for Sandy's dream. And if Sandy can fly in real life, you can be sure she can fly in her dream.
Heck yeah, she's definitely not one to let anyone take the name of Texas in vain. Go fly up.
Ah, dang it. I was trying to get that spat before I got Hansed, but I unfortunately didn't. Because I had gotten the spat during the Hans animation, I would have, you know, skipped the animation. Not a big deal, though. Okay. Oh. Sometimes, if you do an ILH with bad timing and it doesn't catch, like it happened a few times there, you have to be sure to press the hover button in midair before trying the ILH again, because otherwise the hover won't come out. Because for some reason when that happens, it comes glitchy in a different way and just makes it so you can't hover until you hit the hover button in midair again. But now that we get slide speed and ILH, we can just go over to this area, skip paying for a clam and going through this entire section, and just go to this spot here at the end where we have to fight some robots to get a spatula to spawn. Yes, okay. And by moving in a very specific way, I was able to get all of those enemies to get blown up by the tiki. Oh, why isn't... Okay, it was trying to make me lasso the tiki instead of the robot I was right next to. This section's a little scary, because if you get hit by an enemy, the knockback will send you flying into the stratosphere because of the ILH. So thankfully, that went well. Okay. But now that we're done with, you know, SpongeBob's dream, it's time to ride the bus.
Up for a game of SpongeBob.
Down to rock bottom.
Well, SpongeBob doesn't even have a boat license, so how is he going to deal with the bus?
Oh, SpongeBob.
Also, you can see the vending machine right there, because if you take it, there is like a special cutscene that plays if you go up to that vending machine where SpongeBob will go up to the vending machine and a bus will show up and leave immediately. Because this game, even the original game, just has a bunch of like small references like that to various episodes.
I gotta say, Bubba Buddy.
And also, this game does the original game at the very least, which, you know, this game also does by proxy, does a really good job of making entire platforming worlds based off of places that SpongeBob went to for 5 minutes in one episode. Because this was made back in the early years of SpongeBob, before, you know, they fleshed out a lot of these places in later seasons.
Well, fleshing out is one thing, even if it means going for something that's not your average everyday darkness. Because this just looks like advanced darkness!
Yes, the Trench of Advanced Darkness is a later area in this game. Unfortunately, I will not be getting every spatula in that area because one of them is slow. But yeah, I mentioned earlier how the sponge ball is very easy to just kind of break areas apart, and this is the end of this area. This is supposed to be the last spot you go to. And so as a result, we're going to be doing rock bottom backwards. Because I got to do an unstuck VBB here, and we just fly into the air. That was an absurd amount of height. That's more than I usually get. Also, in that loading screen, if you buffer a left input and pause, you will collect a spatula on the first frame and pause on that same frame, and so you can warp away immediately after getting the spatula, and it'll count. Because if you pause the same frame you collect a spatula, you can warp away and that'll count as collecting the spatula. It's just, you know, pausing on the same frame you collect a spatula is normally pretty difficult. That's why you haven't seen it yet. Not that I haven't been trying. If you've been noticing me pause a couple times before I collect a spatula, it's because I'm trying to get the timing for it. But it's just very tricky because every spatula has a different amount of magnetism for it. But you know that you collected a spatula because you'll hear that little pop sound of like a bubble popping when you pick it up. And on top of that, you'll know if you pause on the right frame because visually, the character will T-pose for a frame right before you pause. So that's also why I hope I can at least get one pause spatula animation skip, but if I don't, it's not the end of the world. But if I can get one, that would be awesome because I want to see everybody T-pose. But you're supposed to hit this switch, go to the end using the slide, but, you know, you can just use the boxes. Alright, and then one more warp back to this exact same spatula, because we get to use the sponge ball one more time. And this time it's to actually go to the next section that you're supposed to go to normally. Just, you know, not the way you're supposed to, because you're supposed to use Sandy to get up here. But Spongeball.
Oh, I see why you can't really do Sandy abuse with that. You just gotta follow your heart, unless that heart is bad with directions.
But yeah. So we'll switch to Sandy here real quick because, you know, the museum's under the attack of robots. And Sandy can get through this section a lot easier than SpongeBob can, even though this is actually intended to be a SpongeBob section. Which you can tell by the fact that Barnacle Boy's like, hey, Sandy, tell me when SpongeBob gets here. Ooh, that's not what I meant to do. Okay. We're good. Intended. See, I messed up the timing for that section and accidentally got hit. Not a big deal. But yeah, now that the lasers are gone, there's a few socks in here to get.
Ooh. Do I really have to carry Patrick's socks?
But, you know, the rest of this section looks like it's pretty long. It might take a while, so let's not do it. So yeah,
Gotta bring out that jumpy ILH back in to just end up skipping a lot of it.
Patrick happy.
Oh yeah.
Good old Sandy strats.
So yeah, ILH is one of the most broken things in this entire game because you get any area with Sandy, you can just skip almost everything, and it's great.
Ooh. Do I really have to carry Patrick's socks?
Okay, and make it to the end of this section here, collect the spat. And you'll notice there's a bunch of paintings lying around that I was supposed to collect. You know what that means?
CCA!
Exactly. So yeah, now that we collected all of the paintings of steering wheels, we can warp back to Rock Bottom, and Mrs. Puff will give us the spatula. Unfortunately, we will not be hearing Mrs. Puff's famous dialogue here. And you might ask why, but don't ask questions you aren't prepared to handle the answers to. I also warped to the wrong spatula in Bikini Bottom. I was warping to the right one, and then I was doubted myself and then went to the wrong one. Not a big deal. Warping is fast in this game. But it's time to go.
Roll, roll, roll the sponge.
So yeah, Kelp Forest is one of those areas, just like Rock Bottom, where the last area of the game loops back around to the first area. And so we can just go straight to the end. And doing Kelp Forest backwards makes this area very, very easy and very, very fast. Also, if you just walk off the edge here, it'll put you at the bottom, and you can just activate the second box and immediately go back up to Mermaid Man. However, in order to cheese this slide, you have to, I don't know why, but it's just how it works. You have to switch to Patrick, switch back real quick, and now when I talk to Mermaid Man to do his challenge on this slide here to beat his time of 101 seconds, you can just go over here, jump up. Hey, I did it. I beat the time. So yeah, that makes this section very, very fast and easy. And because the spatula is near the exit, you can hear the pop right there, which is how you know I got the spatula. And just go straight to this area, which has the spatula in the open at the end, and I can just warp to the start of that area.
Yeah, I guess Mermaid Man would just feel so happy. If he felt like he would die due to the carelessness of a friend, then that would just be alright.
Alright, and then here's another spat at the end of the previous section that I can just get immediately. Because going through Kelp Forest backwards is very silly. Alright. But now that I'm here, I can go ahead and get an extra spat here while I'm at it. By activating this switch and then making my way back over. So yeah, this spat is supposed to be done by Patrick by freezing the goo down there and then, you know, running across it to get down here. But, you know, you can just jump down with SpongeBob. and then warp back up. Now that, you know, warp back up, it'll instantly put me as Patrick, and because I'm Patrick, the fastest, because like his basic attack moves you forward slightly when you use it, the fastest way to move with Patrick is just to mash the attack button. Hasn't really come up much yet because you don't use Patrick too much, but that is the case. And get another spat, because it's just sitting out in the open again.
He looks like he's ready to borrow SpongeBob's brain for a week. Maybe that'll just make him feel more chipper.
And also, we have to go save the campers. But I think Mrs. Puff could use some steering wheels instead of campers. Because it's time to do one last CCA. It is the last CCA in the run. But yeah, doing that is just so much faster than saving any of the campers. So... Alright, this line's a little finicky and... Ah, dang it. I hate jumping up this thing because it's very finicky. Okay, but now that I did get up, I can grab a sock. I'll be getting 2 more socks, so that I'll turn in 30 at once at the end, because I turned in 10 earlier. Collect that sock. Let's go turn in those definitely campers to Mrs. Puff. And now I am done with Kelp Forest. So it is time for the final area, main world of the game, the Flying Dutchman's Graveyard. Also, low-key, best song in the game is in Flying Dutchman's Graveyard. It is a really good song, actually. Might take a little bit to hear it over everything because cutscenes will make it restart a few times and stuff like that. So I don't even know if you get to hear a full loop, unfortunately, but you know, if you ever do play this game, in my opinion, best song of the game.
It just feels kind of uncanny going between this and, interestingly, Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, where it was like the one capturing all of SpongeBob's friends, and now he just wants to deal with the robot invasion. Clearly the definition of a heel face turn.
I mean, he's still kind of a jerk in this game, because at the end he's like, oh yeah, helped me? Cool. I'm not going to give you your reward, and so Sandy has to beat him up. But that boss fight is slow, so I will not be doing it. So
well, I guess Sandy would find an excuse for anything.
But yeah, I got to use another load spatula animation skip at the end there because it is faster than respawning to get back up. Also, there's just kind of an invisible slide here for reasons. I don't know why. Because there's supposed to be a slide that you make appear there, but for some reason it's just always there. Okay. And this next area is supposed to be like a big platforming area where you like switch between SpongeBob and Sandy to get through the full thing. There's like a whole lot of verticality and stuff like that.
You said Sandy and verticality in the same sentence. I think I know what you're thinking.
The funny part is, no.
Huh?
You could just cheese the whole area with SpongeBob, because this is already halfway through the section. By going out.
I guess ILH not intended.
And then you can just jump up, activate this checkpoint early, load, and you're already up here. And this is already past all the Sandy sections. So yeah, just some out-of-bounds movement and checkpoint abuse. You can just get through this whole area with SpongeBob very quickly. Which is useful because there is a bungee spat here that I need SpongeBob for. And this is one of the few clams I actually pay. And once I grab it, just warp back and I can finish making my way through this section. So yeah, this last part here is supposed to be like a wall jump thing with these kinds of walls where there's like a bunch of them moving in and out. You're supposed to like wait for the timing and like grab them all, but yeah, these bolts have collision, and so you can just climb up the side of this building. All right. That will be the last normal spat animation skip. There's one more I might be able to pull off, but that's the last one that like is, you know, going to another area. So yeah, this is the only area where I actually collect all of the things, because I actually hit all 4 cannons, because they're all right next to each other, and warping away would be slower. So there's no CCA here.
Nothing like the smell of bubbles in the morning.
So why did Mr. Krabs ask you to go for the poop deck here if you're not in single sign of people ordering our patties?
The funny part is, the actual dialogue here is Mr. Krabs is like, "Ahoy, SpongeBob, swab the poop deck." But in the last section, SpongeBob says the same thing to Squidward, and he's just like, "Ah, Mr. Krabs, I already used that one on Squidward." Also, this right here, I'm trying to do another unstuck VBB like the one I did in Rock Bottom, but this one's a lot more finicky, because I kind of have to like rub up against this cannon to make it possible to jump on it, and then even if I do jump on it, sometimes it just doesn't give me any height. So this one just takes a few tries, and sometimes I get it very quickly, sometimes I'm stuck here for like a minute like this. A little unfortunate, but it's just how it goes. I keep like having to make minor adjustments to my camera and hope it works. Dang it. There we go. Oh no, I accidentally double jumped early. Dang it, now I gotta do it again. That's on me. I accidentally mashed A too much. Oops, okay. Well, I'm just botching this section pretty bad. Unfortunate, but it happens. Fell all the way back down to the bottom. Also, this here is a stuck VBB because it, you know, gets caught between the wall and the cannon. Oh, accidentally jumped in the switch. Okay, well, just imagine I did all of these jumps first try and didn't fall back down at all, and that's how this section normally would go, or at least how fast it can go. Obviously, I'm just messing this section up so you get to hear the full song for this area. That's the reason I'm doing it. Because the song is a banger. There we go. Got it that time. So yeah, this spatula, you're supposed to like clear out both of these areas and everything. You know, like once you clear out the area of robots and everything, the game will just be like, oh, here you cleared out all the robots. There's a trampoline down here that you can use to get to the top of this ship and get your spatula. But that's slow.
Well, here's another reason as to why you may have taken the time. You would have given, like, 11 minutes more of Squidward's life to be filled with misery.
Wow, Sponge.
So yeah, we turn in all 3 of the 30 of the socks to get 3 more spatulas. And you'll remember a while ago I cleared out the Krusty Krab. I'm finally going to turn that in. If I were getting any crab spats, this is when I would be getting those as well. But I'm not. So no crab spats. Okay. And now that I have 74, I'm going to be going to the chum bucket. Before I get to the final boss, we are going to get to hear the announcer fish, and he's gonna quickly tell us what his favorite superhero is.
Flash!
Thank you, announcer fish. Also in the chum bucket lab is the last spatula. And just like that, we can go to the final boss.
The most convenient location for a late game spatula possible. Just a simple double jump.
So yeah, this is Robo Spongebob and Robo Plankton. Oh, that's unfortunate. So what I was trying to do there is I was trying to disable Robo Plankton. Because by dropping off and hitting him, it's possible to disable him, and then he just doesn't do anything for the rest of the fight. Okay. I'm just gonna die real quick and restart the fight. It's got... I forget. I know there is a backup for if you mess it up. I just don't remember what it is, because I don't mess it up very often. So I'm just gonna restart the fight real quick. It'll be faster that way. Okay. That that time I hit him before he hit me. That means he's disabled and will not attack me for the rest of the fight. And now I'm just free to wail on Robo Spongebob for the rest of this section. It is possible to get double hits here at the end and hit more than one of these things at a time. It just requires hitting very precise locations on Robo Spongebob's body while he's hunched over like that. I'm a little rusty with actually getting those double hits. I used to be a lot more consistent with them a while back, but yeah, it's the cruise bubble can be a little unwieldy, so hitting them all the time is a little tricky. All right. But with the last one, we can move on to Phase 2, which is a platforming section. And if you've learned anything by watching the platforming in this game, we're not doing it as intended. So yeah, the whole gimmick of this final section here is you're supposed to go around the brain, destroy all of the fuses, and like each section has a little like platforming challenge and a fuse and everything. But yeah, you can just cheese most of them and not do like any of them as intended. Okay. Also, if you hit a trampoline and activate the cruise bubble at the same time, you can do what's called a cruise bounce, and that's what that is.
You were telling me that cruise bounces were not very commonly seen in Rehydrated as compared to OG BFBB, so it makes sense to see it being executed like this here.
Yeah, this is probably the section of the game I'm most practiced on, and you'll understand why in a moment once I finish this run. But there is a much faster. There's a few strats I could be doing here at the end to go slightly faster, but they're very inconsistent. Stuff like that one, if you saw me launch a bowl at this fuse down here, it's stuff like that. Those bowls are very tricky to get precise, and so most of the time I just will launch them, and if I don't get them, I just cut my losses and move on. But that is time.
GG!
Alright. I am not watching the stream, so I don't know what my time was, but... let me pull up the stream real quick on my phone. Okay. I did come in underestimate. I had a few tricks did not go as well as they could have, unfortunately, but thankfully, it all went well at the end of the day. I made it through. But you might have noticed if you've been watching the marathon, there was an incentive to do a true any % run of this game, or, as the category is called, a one-spat run. And so I think it's time that you see what that is. So now that you saw me beat the game with 77 spatulas, let's watch me do it with one spatula. So if we want to have a timer going for this, I will start up a new file, and time will be on the start of the file. So I will give another countdown. 3, 2, 1, let's go. All right, and so the game starts out the same, you know, gotta skip the cutscenes, spawn into SpongeBob's pineapple, and we're at the final boss. It's that simple.
I've heard about this menu glitch right there. You'll just end up manipulating things from the menu just to get yourself inside Robo Spongebob.
Yeah, so what I did there was called Taxi Glitch, and that is the one glitch that is banned in 77 Spat. There's a few different versions of Taxi Glitch. The one I used required me to downpatch my game because it is only possible on 1.0 and 1.01 versions of this game. It is not possible on current patch. So I am currently playing on 1.01, which, you know, technically isn't possible to get anymore, but I never updated my game when that patch came out, so I still have it, because that is the fastest version of the game to run one spat on, because cruise bounces aren't in 1.0. So yeah, when I mentioned I am very practiced with this final phase, it's because I've done a lot of one-spat runs. So I'm gonna try and get the fast strat at the end here with a bowl, but this bowl is a little tricky, so I might, if I don't get it, not the end of the world. That was definitely not hitting. That was also not hitting. I'll give it one more try real quick. Okay, that one might hit, and if it does hit, you know, I just fall off here, and I don't respawn because that would end the fight. But I missed one or both of the bowls, so I unfortunately have to respawn and just go hit them manually real quick. But yeah, if I did this fight optimally, this fight can be done in under a minute and a half. it is a very short category if you are able to do everything perfectly. My record for this run on console is 1:20. On PC, where you take out load times and they also do like a couple faster strats, time by the way. On PC, this can go down as low as like 1:07. But yeah, that was a one spat run, and the main star of the show there was Taxi Glitch. I also kind of glossed over it, but I did warp to phase 1 of the fight first because on older versions of the game, warping to phase 1 instantly gives you all of the powers, so it gives you Bubble Bowl and Cruise Bubble. On current patch, that doesn't happen, which is the reason why skipping the Cruise Bubble makes the end of the game significantly harder, and is why it's not a beginner strat. Because you have to do both of those last 2 phases without the Cruise Bubble, so it's significantly harder. But yeah, I'll let this last cutscene play out, and yeah, I just want to say thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me show off this run. I think this is a very fun run. It's very, very not in a lot of stuff that isn't intended, but I like this run a lot. It's a lot of fun. A lot of hard tricks that unfortunately I didn't get as quickly as I would have liked, but that's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, I've had a good time showing off. If anybody wants to see more of me, I do runs of this game sometimes. I run runs of other games sometimes over on my Twitch, twitch.tv/IllegallySam. But yeah, that's all for me. If you got any sign-off stuff, Rexy?
Yes, thank you very much to the people at No Glitches Allowed for bringing me here on comms for IllegallySam's BFBB Rehydrated run. So it's really great that we managed to get an encounter like this. You can also catch me hanging around on Twitch, where I mostly end up streaming a lot of 5th gen, 6th gen games, whatever I end up feeling like. Hopefully this may not be the first time we end up meeting together. Who knows what would happen?
Yeah. You never know what's going to happen in the world of speedrunning. But
And
yeah,
dare I say, this is just a case of sweet victory.
yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for Rexy for joining me on comms. I think that's all I got.
All right, that was Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. We got both the 77 and the 1 Spatula run. That was pretty cool to watch. I really like 3D platformer speedruns myself. So up next, we've got Pumpkin Jack 100%. They're currently setting up for that. The amazing staff members that are helping everything run smoothly. So stay tuned for that. Should be happening in probably a few minutes. Just want to let everybody know, if you are interested in doing speedruns for a good cause, or if you want to volunteer for a speedrun charity marathon type event such as this one, we've got plenty of volunteering opportunities when it comes to restream, post to social media, moderation, even being the disembodied voice like I'm doing right now. We're always looking for new people to help us out with this sort of thing. Any help is always greatly appreciated. We do a handful of events throughout the year. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in doing in the future, feel free to follow No Glitches Allowed on Twitter. You can also join our Discord to be kept in the loop about any future events that we will be running.